Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and today I'm in Chicago, Illinois. We've come up here to see one of the most magnificent organs in this city, and indeed, it's on the Magnificent Mile, right on Michigan Avenue. I'm talking about the Quimby organ at Fourth Presbyterian Church. Now, this instrument has a storied history. It was originally an E.M. Skinner organ, then Aeolian Skinner did some work, and lots of other people have had their hands in it as well. But today it's been completely rebuilt. We're going to hear from the people that helped design and install this instrument and take a full tour through the largest organ in Chicago. So I hope you'll come with me.
Anita McCormick Blaine, the wife of Emmons Blaine, the daughter of Cyrus McCormick, walked down the center aisle of Fourth Presbyterian Church as it was still under construction, and E.M. Skinner was at her side, and they got to about this point in the center aisle, and Anita turned to Ernest Skinner and said, "There's the hole, fill it." And Ernest Skinner took that challenge and put in a 59 rank organ that he was very proud of, and it was the very first organ that Skinner built here in Chicago. I just love that story. It was in 1947, actually, that G. Donald Harrison came here and added some mixture work, upper work to the Skinner organ. And Aeolian Skinner was brought in shortly after Morgan Simmons arrived in 1968, and Aeolian Skinner finished the organ in 1971. It was the last four manual organ that they constructed, 125 ranks. It had 57 ranks of mixtures, one 8-foot principal in the great, and an 8-foot mantra in the swell that was a very thin Geigen. So it was a very, very light on the 8-foot foundations and very top heavy with the mixtures, but it was a product of its era. Low, very low wind pressures. And the organ was voiced at the console, so it sounded great in the front. It was a very refined sound. It sounded great in the front, but it did not fill the room. Golding and Wood came in '95. They added the facade for the Positiv division and moved the Positiv division and the Swell division forward, so they were more towards the tone openings. The idea was to get the organ out in the room a little bit better. They also, at that time, removed 3 inches of horsehair from the ceiling, hoping to improve the acoustic. So in 2005, we removed cork that was underneath the pews, and that also helped the acoustic. But by 2006, the Aeolian Skinner was having a lot of dead notes due to deteriorating leather. The combination action was having a lot of malfunctions. So the organ was really beginning to show its age by 2006. And we formed a committee that decided to, rather than refurbish the Aeolian Skinner, bring Mike Quimby in to essentially build a new organ and retain as much of the Aeolian Skinner as he wanted to retain. So we did keep the Positiv division, but moved it from the south balcony to the north balcony, and kept the plenum of the great division and moved it from the front division to the antiphonal division in the back. Mike was great to work with. We really enjoyed our time together with Mike and the whole Quimby team.
So I'm here at the console, Fourth Presbyterian Church, with Dr. John Sherer, the organist and director of music. Here at the console of this massive Quimby organ, really, there's the first thing I notice is the organ is kind of in multiple places. And I should say, I don't know if it's been visible yet, we're in the front of the church. We're up above the pulpit here in the gallery.
The main chamber is in the front of the church. We have an antiphonal division that's 150 feet away from the console, and we have a Positiv division that's in the north balcony. So the organ is literally front to back and side to side. So the congregation is surrounded by sound.
The sound comes from every direction when you, yeah. All right, well, let's, I want to just talk about some of the ensembles and some of the stops in this organ, and I think we should start over here with the Great Division. Tell me about the, well, we have several diapasons in this organ.
We have three 8-foot diapasons. The very first stop that Mike Quimby voiced was the third diapason. So it was really the foundation stop for the entire instrument. And it's a lovely diapason. It goes then to the second diapason. And to the first diapason. Just put those three diapasons together. As Mike and I were talking about this organ, we wanted this organ to be an American symphonic organ, but we also wanted this organ to reflect an English Romantic heritage. Soon before I started working with Mike on designing the organ, I had the good fortune of spending a day with the Father Willis organ at St. Michael's and All Angels, Father Ousley's church. And so I got to know that Willis organ really well, and one of the things I was so impressed was the 16-foot diapason on that Willis organ had so much harmonic development. So I wanted our 16-foot diapason to have that same harmonic development, and it does.
Definitely a lot of weight in the bottom of it too, in addition to all that color.
It's not just a whoo sound, it has a lot of harmonic development. And so you add that with the other diapasons. Just such a rich, noble sound.
Big, warm sound in here. That's really, yes. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go on up the principal chorus then in the great and tell me, because we actually have a couple of little options you can do there.
So you have a 4-foot principal. Which goes very nicely with the 8-foot diapason. Or you have the 4-foot octave, which is bigger. Goes very nicely with the second diapason. We get to the 2-foot 15th. That can go with the third diapason and the principal. Or with the second diapason and the 4-foot octave.
So you really have a lot of options there for your principal chorus, how much 8-foot, how much 4-foot you want to really bring out in the ensemble.
The 4-foot principal and the 4-foot octave, we really got that idea from St. John the Divine in New York, that magnificent organ. And then you can have the principal chorus with the mixture. Or with the second diapason, the octave. Even adding the first diapason. And then adding the sharp mixture.
A lot of brilliance there. You also have some mutations, though, in this division as well that can go in with the principal chorus.
We have we have the 5 1/3.
Mm-hmm.
We have the 12, the 2 2/3. The trim.
You brought those on with the flute, so that's going to be more of a flute scaled mutations there, making us a cornet. But you also have a cornet, but let's go back and let's talk about the flutes before we get too complicated, because you drew the 8-foot Borden there. Let's just hear that by itself.
A 4-foot Wald flute. Down an octave. Really lovely flute.
Yeah, lovely big sound there towards the bass end of it. Very nice. Okay, and then that continues on up as a cornet.
And one of the things we did as in designing this organ, we very much wanted the diapasons to be diapasons, all of them distinct in their character, but we wanted the flutes to be flutes, but we wanted the gamba to truly be a string, so it's not trying to be one or the other, a flute or a diapason. And so all the tonal families are very distinct.
I can tell you, a very nice cutting edge. So in addition to the 8-foot, then we have a separate 16-foot violon. Nice. So even if you don't want that big double open diapason, you can have a smaller 16-foot.
And we even have it at 32.
How unique. That's a great thing to have.
All right, well, for Vidor.
I see we also have a cornet in this. In addition to the flute cornet, you have a cornet stop of 5 ranks. Nice to have both of those options in there that way. Okay. Let's talk about the reeds now. Tell me what we've got in this division.
I should say all of those stops are on 8 inches of wind pressure.
Okay.
8 inches of wind pressure. And now the chorus reeds of the great are on 12 inches of wind pressure.
All right.
The 8-foot trumpet, the contra trumpet 16, and the 4-foot clarion.
Very bright, big fiery reeds there, yes. All right.
So put those reeds together.
That's quite a sound. All right. And then we have a big tuba in this division. Does this belong in this division?
The tuba is in the great division. It was originally going to be in the orchestral division, but as the organ was being completed, there was no room in the orchestral division, so it landed in the great division.
Okay.
A last-minute change.
Well, someone off stage is telling me to put my fingers in my ears before you play this.
The tuba is on 31 inches of wind pressure. the pipes are actually weighted just to hold them in, hold the toes down, because there's so much wind going through these pipes that they will become missiles.
Definitely a full sound, not too overwhelming there, but yeah, definitely the crowning reed of that division.
It is actually only about 10 feet from the console, maybe 15 feet from the console, so it's much louder here than it is actually out in the room.
And I assume that proximity to the facade there helps get it out into the room as well.
In fact, the whole organ is twice as loud here at the console as it is out in the room, and that's necessary because the main tone opening is speaking across the organ loft here directly into that wall, and then the sound has to reflect off of that wall down this 150 feet nave. And once the sound is actually going down the nave, then it encounters the ceiling, which has a high slant, so it pushes the sound actually into the walls rather than down to the floor where the people are. So the organ had to overcome a lot of architectural and acoustical issues.
Yeah. Well, and like many organs, the console is frequently the worst place to actually hear it, and thankfully our listeners are hearing it down there. So
and the organ was voiced halfway down the room, so it was meant to be heard halfway in the room.
Okay. Well, while we're on that side, let's talk about the choir division. Next sort of traditional division in here. Tell me what we've got in the choir, just starting with our 8/5.
We have the Zimbelstern.
That's the most important thing. We need to have that out of the way first.
There's actually, there are bells in the front of the room. There are also bells in the back of the room. So when you're in the space, you actually hear...
That turns on both of them at the same time?
Yeah, they both are spinning at the same time. So you have stereo Zimbelstern here. And we also have in the choir division the harp. Celesta. Put those together. Lovely.
Very nice. Hmm.
In the choir division, we actually have the Erzähler and the Erzähler Celeste from the 1914 Skinner organ. Fourth Church had the first Skinner organ in Chicago. He was very proud of it. It was 59 ranks. The pipe scales were so large that I'm told you could hardly move around inside the pipe chamber. But we still have the Erzähler and the Erzähler Celeste that goes with it. It was the first time that Skinner put a Celeste with an Erzähler.
Really?
He was very proud of that shimmering sound.
It's quite a dynamic change then after that great division. So.
The choir division is intentionally softer than the other divisions, very useful to have that contrast.
Mm-hmm. We do have a principal chorus here though.
We do. We have the diapason here. With the octave. And we have a lovely flauto traverso. and a 4-foot harmonic flute. Some lovely, lovely sounds, so many contrasting sounds that you can select from.
But all still pretty gentle. Again, compared to the great.
The Fregato, it was the last reed stop that Eric Johnson voiced for the organ, and after all the reeds had been done, he felt like there was one color still missing. So the Fregato, you would think it's a Baroque stop, but it's not. It's much closer to a flugelhorn. That's a 16. You can actually put that 16-foot Fregato, the 8-foot Fregato with the diapason chorus and create kind of a mini full swell.
It's, again, amazing, sort of buzzy Baroque sound, but it also is very full and dark and warm.
And you can add the mixture. So the choir division can seem like a mini swell division here.
You've got all those colors.
Yeah. And we have a lovely clarinet stop.
Yeah, lovely. Well, and that's pretty much everything in the choir then. I want to then come over to the Positiv. Now, this, as I understand it, was originally a division that was added sort of out in the nave of the church. Tell me about this.
So the Positiv division is entirely from the 1971 Alien Skinner. This is the Positiv division that Don Gillette put in. We retained the Positiv division, but moved it from the south balcony to the north balcony. And the Positiv division is up against a solid wall, so it really pops out in the room because it's facing directly out into the nave.
And the casework that surrounds it was all added for this?
Quimby,
just to make it mirror the other side?
Quimby designed that case, and it mirrors the facade that was put in 1994 by the Golding Wood Company on the south side. So those two cases complement each other.
Was the original Positiv exposed, or was it in a case originally?
It was never exposed. The English diapason was the facade stop for that case.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the nice thing about the Positiv is that it floats, so you can put it on any manual of the 5. And one nice thing about this Positiv division, one of many nice things, is you can have the stop diapason on the grate, and then you can accompany it with the stop diapason. So in effect, you can create a 2-manual organ.
Yeah, accompanying it with itself.
Exactly, yeah. And you can actually play quite a bit of repertoire just on the Positiv division, which is nice.
All right. Well, tell me what other stops we have in the Positiv.
So they have the stop diapason. You have the English diapason. This actually was a stop that was added in 1994 by Golding Wood. have the quint in the Positiv division. Mike actually wanted to get rid of that stop, and I wouldn't let him. We needed that distinctive sound.
Definitely that 16-foot quinteton. Definitely
Yeah, it's a very
distinctive edge to it.
We have a lovely 4-foot flute. We have a spire flute. We have the 15th. We have the 1'5". If I hold this note long, the dogs will come running. We have a lovely crumhorn. A very distinct 4-foot shamai. That's the crumhorn and the shamai together.
Then a tierce and a Nazard in there as well. So we have a cornet on this division.
You have another cornet here.
That's a really nice, distinct, different sound to have against all of these other English warm sounds. We've got these little more Baroque sort of bright-leaning colors here.
We very much wanted the organ to play all the repertoire as well as possible, and so that it was important to keep the Positiv division from the Alien Skinner. That was really one of the better divisions of the Alien Skinner, so we just retained it, and it is very useful for the Baroque literature.
Definitely. And has some pedal stops in it as well.
It does. We just borrowed the stop diapason to put them in the pedal. But it's important for the repertoire to have some sound in the pedal division coming from that side of the room, so that it's not just the manuals over there.
You also notice you have a bird whistle.
Yes.
Another important stop. Lovely. Well, I'm going to stay over on that side just so people can see what you're doing, but we have one sort of a unique division now to the standard organ design, and that is our orchestral division.
The orchestral division is quite amazing. Orchestral because there are so many stops in this division that are ensemble stops. So not just a solo division that would just be, solo sounds, but this division has a lot of ensemble options. So we have the Doppel flute. Doppel flute is so useful on its own, but also to blend in with other stops to just fill in the texture. It's a very, very useful stop.
A lot of dark foundation there on that very clear sound there.
The 8-foot harmonic flute in the great is a nice sister to the Doppel flute in the orchestral. But the Doppel flute
much more distinct harmonic output and still kind of dark but clear.
And again, the orchestral division is up high and speaking directly into the nave, so it really takes advantage of its position. In creating the orchestral division, we made a new tone opening for the organ, and that tone opening was approved by an architect who looked at Ralph Adam Cram designs for this room, and he wasn't absolutely certain that the wall was load-bearing or not load-bearing. So we did begin removing the wall, and the person who was removing the wall was amazed that it was 29 inches thick. So he just kept removing bricks and stone, finally got through to the opening, and we immediately put a steel frame in just in case that was a load-bearing wall. We didn't want to take any chances, but we did create an opening.
To let a little more sound out.
Yeah,
okay.
It never existed. So the orchestral division really pops out in the room.
Okay.
Here's the orchestral flute at 4 foot. Beautiful. Really rich in the lower register.
Very useful flute there.
We have the gross gamba. Paired with its celeste. We really wanted to have a lot of rosin on those strings, so there's a lot of buzz, a lot of intensity. There's even more intensity, the viola da orchestra. With its celeste. You can put it with the 4 foot violin. Four-foot violin just by itself. Put all the strings together. Crown it with the cornet of gambas.
Play just the cornet de viol for me, and let's hear what it sounds like.
2 2/3, 2, and 1 3/5.
So it's just adding the well, it's a cornet mixture essentially, like you would hear in. Except I would add much more powerful than the, say, Kimball and Skinner cornet mixtures were. Yeah. That would just add brightness to the strings. This adds a lot of brightness to already bright strings.
It's very unique sound in Dakan or Couperin. You can have all your flute cornets, your diapason, your principal cornets, and then you can have a string cornet. It's a really unique sound.
Lovely. And then we have a couple of reeds in this division too.
From 1914, the Skinner French horn.
Lovely.
It's a beautiful French horn.
All right, and then one more.
The English horn.
Very nice, yeah. Very colorful reed there.
You know, as Mike and I were talking about this organ, one of the things we discussed was what would have happened if American organ building had never ceased during World War II. And the trajectory that American organ building was on in the 30s and into the 40s had just continued without interruption. And so this organ is, in part, it's our answer to that question of what would have happened if American organ building had just continued on that same trajectory. So it's an organ that brings a lot of color, a lot of nuance, a lot of inspiration to everyone that hears it here at Fourth Presbyterian Church. I certainly hope that all of you who are watching this video can come here at some time and experience this magnificent organ in person, because that is the true joy of this organ.
Well, continuing on now, looking over at the other side of the instrument, let's start with the Swell division, which is also up here in the gallery behind me now. Tell me what we've got in the Swell.
The Swell division has a chimney flute, we have the Spitz flute and the Spitz flute Celeste at the 8-foot. With its 16.
And that's the Spitz flute that goes all the way down to 16.
That's right.
Right.
We have the viol da gamba. With its Celeste. The strings have a lot of rosin, a lot of buzz to them, but it works so well in this room.
Yeah, a lot of bright sound. I can tell it really cuts through and pushes down. All right. Tell me about the principal chorus then in this division.
8-foot diapason. A 4-foot octave. A 2-foot flageolet. Here's the 8-4-2 and mixture. I'm adding the brighter mixture.
It's a fairly big chorus. Again, it has to get out and around the corner and down the hall, so it's probably a little bigger here than it sounds out there. But yeah, still very full and very complete.
We have the 4-foot night horn. Really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And then a Nazard and Tierce in this division as well. We have yet another cornet available here.
Nazard, so here's the flute cornet. Here's the cornet with the principals.
Those work remarkably well with either the flutes or the principals. You get a much bigger sound, but it's still very clear that you're adding those colors.
The French classical Baroque repertoire works actually really well in this organ. You have so many cornets and grands jeux to choose from.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's talk about the reeds then in this division. We have another chorus of reeds here.
Beginning with the oboe. Just a lovely oboe.
Yeah, nice.
And then the 8-foot trumpet, the 4-foot clarion, the 16-foot contra trumpet was, I'll play it for you, the 16-foot contra trumpet. That's a full-length 16-foot reed. In the original design that Mike and I had put together, we had a half-length reed. But Mike and I talked about it, and as the organ was really in the final stages of design, we decided to go with a full-length 16-foot reed just to have that gravitas.
Yeah, it's really effective down there.
Yeah, I'm so glad we made that last-minute change.
Very nice. Let's hear them all together.
Here's the reed chorus.
I'm struck by how big that is compared to especially how soft the choir was. That everything, again, it has to turn a corner, but it feels really big, surprisingly so. But out in the room, it works just fine.
Yeah. You're constantly what you hear at the console is not what you're hearing out in the room, and you have to trust that it's working out there, and it does.
Well, one last read. We have a Vox Humana.
Vox Humana. With nice. A little string. It's not a French Vox Humana. It's a very Skinner-esque Vox Humana.
Indeed, yeah, that very early American sound there.
Which suits this organ.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that's our swell. I want to stick with the manual divisions, and we have two more up here. Let's start with the antiphonal. Tell me about the antiphonal.
So the antiphonal division is comprised of most of the great division from the Alien Skinner. So we simply retained it and moved it to the back of the room. We start with the 8-foot diapason, which on the Alien Skinner was called the 8-foot principal.
And that's speaking from a chamber high in the back of the church.
It's nearly 8 stories above Michigan Avenue and 150 feet from the console.
So was there organ up there before this was put
Skinner
there?
had an echo division, an enclosed echo division in the back. Alien Skinner put a plenum in the back that was unenclosed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is this is all in the open, correct?
Yeah, it's unenclosed. 8 and 4. 8-4-2, and with the mixture, with the sub and super, Again, you could almost treat the antiphonal like a two-manual organ. We have a flute in the back. We have an 8-foot trumpet. And the 4-foot clarion. But we also have the trumpet héroïque at the 8-foot and at 16, 8, and 4. The congregation doesn't know the melody.
You can make sure they hear it.
We have lots of help.
That's just a tenor C 16-foot, so it just goes to 8-foot, but adds so much brightness to the room from the back.
That was originally the Alien Skinner Festival trumpet.
Okay.
It was retained for the Quimby organ, but Eric Johnson revoiced it so that it had a little smoother quality.
It's still pretty bright and edgy, though.
That's our American high-pressure reed. The tuba is our English high-pressure reed.
Okay.
And we're about to get to our French high-pressure reeds.
We'll talk about those in just a second, but we still have some pedal stops in the antiphonal. Some things are borrowed down and played down.
We have the 16-foot Borden, contrabass, 8-foot octave, and a 4-foot octave. 16-foot trumpet. And we have the chimes. Which are in the front of the room,
here, yeah.
and the carillon, which is in the back. So you actually can have a dialogue
Well, that's our antiphonal and pedal. So we have then one more manual division, the fanfare division. And as you said, this is where your French stuff lives.
So here are the French high-pressure reeds, and the fanfare division floats.
That was the harmonic trumpet.
Harmonic trumpet.
Which is not as French as I was prepared for, but I have a feeling this bombard is probably where you...
And we have that at...
Very
and
nice.
the harmonic clarion. Three distinct ranks.
Yeah, I'm detecting that there must be a fairly high pressure in there as well.
These are 15 inches wind
Okay,
pressure.
yeah.
Just putting those together. Again, because the fanfare division is speaking directly into the nave, it really packs a punch out in the room.
Okay.
The fanfare division is enclosed. So you can bring the fanfare into the swell division and augment the swell division. You can bring the fanfare to the choir division, augment it. So it can join the two expressive divisions and add a lot. Or you can add the fanfare to the orchestral or the great and just give those divisions a lot more punch.
That extra power.
Very useful to have this over here.
We have some other stops in there besides reeds, though.
Another diapason. It's our stentor diapason. The 4-foot octave. Two-foot 15th. Put those together. And 8/4-2 mixture.
And then we still have another 12th and 17th combination.
Another
here,
cornet.
So we have another cornet on yet one more division. And one more stop to add to that cornet, which I understand the harmonic, I just have never seen a stop named this before.
The flat 21st.
21st, right. So it's adding that. So a septium stop, but I've never heard it called a flat 21st, but that's essentially what it is. It's playing a flat B flat.
We purposely decided to use a lot of American English nomenclature for this organ. So instead of Zimbelstern, it's bells, and it's a bird whistle, and it's a flat 21st.
Okay,
so
makes sense then.
Yeah.
Well, our final stop here is all the stops in the pedal division, which we have a large pedal division. There's a few things borrowed, but a lot of it appears to be.
Actually, the pedal
stops.
division is only 11 ranks.
Okay. Well,
Out of the 142. There simply wasn't the real estate for it. So there's a lot of borrowed stops in the pedal division. But we do start with a 16-foot Borden. Open diapason, metal open. Eight-foot Borden. A wood open. And we have an 8-foot octave. Five and 1/3. And we have a quint.
.32-foot feel underneath there.
It is useful. An octave at 4-foot pitch. A lovely night horn, 4-foot. A mixture, a 4-rank mixture.
And I can't help but notice that this division has a gross tierce and a tierce. We have 12ths and 17ths in every division of this organ to have a cornet, a pedal cornet, but usually for just fattening up the harmonics of the pedal. But tierces everywhere in this instrument.
Yeah. This is the 3 1/5. And the gross tierce 6 2/5.
You play that with the Borden 16 and 8. Not particularly useful by itself, but when the whole chorus is there, I'm sure that helps fatten up some of the pedal sounds there.
In the antiphonal, we have the 32-foot Borden. We have this violon 32. Whoops, let me give her some. .32-foot diapason. We have a 64-foot gravissima.
Okay.
I'm not sure anybody can hear that.
We'll see if our microphones pick that up at all. I'm not sure. All right, well, let's talk about the reeds then we have here. We do have a real 32-foot reed.
A full-length 32-foot reed.
It's real and very powerful.
The Illinois National Guard goes on alert when we use that stuff.
And is that a unit then, or?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, and so that goes up to?
It's a 16-foot trombone, 8-foot trombone. You put those all together.
Nice, okay. What's the top one up there?
Oh, 4-foot. Four ranks of
quite a lot of sound there. And of course, plenty of other colors from other divisions are borrowed down to give you lots and lots of pedal options.
really useful is to have the English horn at 16 foot in the pedal.
Yeah, just to give you a little buzz underneath something soft. Yeah, very nice. Well, I'm going to talk just a little bit about some of the extra little features you've got. Of course, we have memory level buttons are easy to find here, and you have piston sequencer. We also have on the Swell division a sostenuto.
We have a sostenuto function on the Swell, which allows you to hold a chord and play around it.
Well, that continues until you press cancel or the
It does,
turn
yeah.
the sostenuto off. But we also have, just for the orchestral and fanfare divisions, we have nave shades off. That allows us to turn off, I assume, just those shades.
That's right.
So the congregation doesn't have to hear.
Mike wanted to have just that extra level of expression, so the organist can activate that, shutting off the shades that are facing the congregation, so only the shades now in the orchestral division facing this direction towards the console.
One limit the expression.
It's an extra layer.
Okay.
Same for the fanfare division.
I figured those would be handy almost every division, but those are the ones that are facing the nave, so that's the only ones that have that expression in that. Those are the only ones that have expression in that direction, so that makes sense. All right.
We have a transposer button. Let's see here. Useful if the soloist isn't feeling
very
well.
quickly want to keep up. Yeah, it's nice to have it handy there.
The Alien Skinner had 4 masters on it. They were set permanently by Bob Baker. But for this organ, we kept the idea of masters, but you can program them, you can set them just like any other piston. But the nice thing is that no matter what memory level you're on, we have 1 through 30 memory levels, the masters stay the same on all memory levels.
So if you need a hymn setting immediately and you don't know what level you're on, you can just hit one of those and you'll already have.
It's nice to have something that's the same on all memory levels and that you can change when you need to change it. The right shoe is changeable, so you can use the shoe to express the orchestral division. Or you can change it to become a crescendo function.
See, so acting as the orchestral expression is its normal function, and the crescendo is you have to ask for the crescendo to come on. So that way that was one less shoe you have to deal with down there.
We wanted to save real estate in that area, so that far right shoe is interchangeable.
Okay. And you also have an all swells to swell. Does that go then to the swell as it should?
Right.
So everything is then on that one shoe.
Now all 4 expressive divisions are controlled by the swell. And you have a manual transfer if you want to use it for your French repertoire. We also have the pedal to choir, which is if you want to cheat,
if somebody's not good at playing pedals, they can just bring that bass line up.
Well, for English organists, we have the pedal on divisional option.
So which when you play a divisional, it changes the pedal stops.
That's right. Very useful, actually, in a lot of English rep. Nice to have general pistons on the left side and then general pistons on the right side. Very useful. Useful to have the sequencer here so that the organist or page turner can get it. It's available for the right foot, left foot, and the next buttons are under all the G's, and the previous are under all the F's.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it's very handy to control this organ, and the whole console just feels like it's giving the organist a big hug every time you sit here.
But it does have a little bit of a unique design with the side jams coming out towards you as you get farther out, rather than turning as some do. They just get a little closer, which, this is a cozy space up here, we should add, and you've managed to get a 5-manual console into a tight little space, and there's still room to play it and still room to get in and out.
Actually, the original console was turned the other direction.
Oh, really?
But we wanted to turn the console this way so that it was more accessible to the public. We actually do 2 or 3 organ tours here every week. So this allows us to interact with the public a lot better. Also with cameras for worship services, live stream, for concerts, having the console this way allows people to see what's happening. When the console was turned the other direction, you had very little accessibility to it.
Well, I'm sure the question I'm going to get is how do people come on these organ tours then if they want to see the instruments?
Every Sunday following the worship service.
All right. We'll put information on the description of the video down below with links to the church's website. And they can find out more information about how to contact you and the church to learn more about this instrument.
Yeah.